listening to Second Wind with Joyce Buford, where women who are ready to expand their life adventure discover the tools to stop playing small and tap into the courage required to enjoy their second wind. Welcome.
Good morning, all you people out there. I'm so excited that you're here today. This is going to be a great show. My guest, Kiva Schuler, has great words of wisdom to share with you that probably will be very important in the way you'll give us some memory of your own life and possibly how you want to go forward with your parenting as well. So we're going to be talking about parenting. But let me tell you about Kiva. Kiva Schuler is the founder of the Jai Institute for Parenting, which has been training parenting coaches globally since 2011. Kiva's passion for parenting stemmed from her own childhood experiences of neglect and trauma. Like many of her generation, she had a front row seat to witness what she did not want for her children. In many ways, Jai is the fulfillment of a promise that she made to herself when she was only 16 years old. That consistency, she would be parenting with consistency, compassion, and communication when she is a parent. So anyway, she is a sought after mentor, speaker, and coach, and she's also a very strong professional career with her Jai Institute for Parenting. So anyway, tell me, Kiva, I'm so interested in knowing, because we all as parents would kind of go, gee, I wish I hadn't done that, or gee, I wish I'd done this. I think it's just part of parenting. But we do you're right, we do have different norms put on us as we grow, and certainly different generations as we grow. So tell me, what was your experience that gave you that boost or that commitment at the age of 16?
I grew up in a divorced home. My dad remarried when I was pretty young, maybe 5 or 6, and had a son, so my half brother. His mom was, very traditional in many ways, very punitive, strict, had, a lot of rules in that house, but also was inconsistent and erratic, and something that was cute on Tuesday would get him locked in the bathroom for an hour on Thursday. One day, back then, this was the early 80s. So, punishing kids, spanking them, giving them physical punishment it was more normative than it is today. And so he was being punished in the bathroom with Tabasco and soap. He was 6 years old. And I thought, this is kind of crazy. He's 6, he was just acting like a 6-year-old boy. But I think what really broke my heart was just one day seeing him being punished, and I could see the light draining out of him. I could see that his soul was being crushed and that his sense of self was being diminished. He was being put in this little box. And that was when I had that, kind of download moment, voice of God, when I become a parent, I will do whatever it takes to do it well. Well, flash forward 20 years, I've got 2 little kids. My kids are 18 months apart, and I was not living up to that promise. It is hard being a parent. And these 2 little children that I had made me realize that parenting does not come naturally. What comes naturally is the way that we were parented.
Yes.
And if we want something different for our children, it's not them that need to change their behavior. It's us, it's parents. And that's what set me off on this whole wild journey I've been on.
I'm so impressed that you would even have that commitment at 16. Now, I didn't experience that, what you saw, and that was pretty shocking, because I never saw that. But when you do see something like that, it can't help but touch you.
There was a unique circumstance because most children grow up in their home where it's like, that is what parenting is, right? Like, this is how kids are parented. We don't know different. But because I had two households,
yes, you could.
I had the unique opportunity to see that my mom didn't do those things to me. My mom didn't speak to me that way.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, that you're so right. You had those two special, unique experiences to compare.
That's right. And most kids don't.
Right. Well, I have so many. Right now in my life where I am watching my son parent his two children, 1 and 2 year olds. And it is, it's pretty interesting because parenting has changed from where I was, but I was never really abused in any way. You know, mother had her stern words, but you know, I was grounded, maybe something like that, and maybe spanked, maybe, but nothing to the detriment of the child at all. So it is very interesting to me. I'm much more aware of it now as I watch how he interacts with his children, and so he is a single father, and so it is kind of interesting to see. You know, I'm kind of looking like, did I do that? I didn't do that. Well, I hope I did it that way. I wasn't sure. So anyway, but I would like to, before we move out of on, how did you come up with the name of your institute? Because it's a very interesting name.
Yeah, Jai is the Hindi word for victory in the name of good. We are, where our curriculum is based in science and research and child development. But at the end of the day, I think that we have an opportunity as parents to raise children who will be the leaders that go out into their adulthood and are brave and trust their voice and take risks and fix the very real challenges that we have as a species. And that victorious experience of parenting is what I want. Yes, for parents, but for children primarily. I've always loved kids. And when we raise them, yes, with authority, right? But compassion, kindness, leadership, communication, where we dismantle what I call the big lie, which is that kids need to be punished, scolded, demeaned, shamed, hurt emotionally, physically, or relationally in order to learn. They do not. That these kids are going to be amazing. They are amazing. And so many kids are hurting right now. And simple shifts in communication and the way that we see children, understanding that they have rights, changes so much.
Well, you said a very wise statement. Parenting is not easy because we are growing up with all our bad parenting and carrying it kind of like, well, I can do this, but we can't. We really need to make the effort to go back and correct ourselves. So how does your institute help that?
So what's really unique about Jai is that we really don't have a lot to say about how to get children to behave, a little bit, but we are not a behavior modification program for children. Okay. We are parent-centric. And so essentially we're a personal growth organization for parents to grow themselves up first. I have a new book coming out next year called Raising Adults. And really, what we have to understand is that children don't do what we say, they do what we do. And so if we want our children to exhibit emotional intelligence, to have empathy and compassion, to clean up their mistakes when they mess up, because they will, the best opportunity that we have as parents is to learn to do that ourselves. Now, this is why we train coaches, because coaches are really an essential piece of the puzzle when it comes to adults changing their behavior, right? We have like reactive programs, we have entrenched ways of doing things. We always did anger that way. And so by training coaches, I believe we have the best possible outcome for really giving parents that experience of growing up, not because they're not great people, not because they, aren't capable, but because just none of us were taught this stuff as kids. And our parents the same, right? It just goes back generation after generation.
Right. You brought a word in there, anger. Is most of our parenting from anger?
I would say fear, control, and anger are kind of the trifecta that cause a separation between parents and children.
What's the benefits of long-term parenting? What do you mean by that?
Well, I think that so many parents very understandably are kind of hyper-focused on the moment, right? Getting the kids out the door, getting the kids to stop bickering, getting everyone to come to dinner. We're kind of stuck in the minutia, which is really stressful, but forgets the goal, because the goal of parenting is that we are raising the future adult that this child will be, which means they need to learn some things, right? They need to learn about values. They need to learn about morality. They need to learn about independence. They need to learn that life isn't always going to go their way. It's not always going to feel good. Right. And so by focusing on the long term, we can kind of like let a lot of that little stuff that causes a lot of conflict go and think about our goals for that unique child in the phase of learning that they're in.
Because every child is so different, even in the same family. I 100%. Never realized that. I mean, well, I knew my sister and I were different, but I'm actually watching it now.
I mean, that's why I always say I'm not a parenting expert. I have no interest in being a parenting expert. That would suggest that I somehow know better what's good for your child than you do. My goal is that parents become the expert for their child, whether that child is 2 or 22 or 52, whether they are neuronormative or neurodiverse, whether they are gay or straight or whatever. We get to become so intimately familiar with the needs and goals and passions of the child that we have, so that we can get up underneath them and allow them to thrive.
Share with us 4 questions that parents can ask themselves while they're raising adults instead of parenting children.
I mean, I would say that the number one question is, what are the values that are most important for me to teach my child and guide them as their anchor through life, right? What are those things that matter in this family, right? Is it education? Is it movement? And then the second question is, are these values mine, or are they gifts from my family of origin or gifts from my culture, right? There's so much pressure on kids in many communities right now to achieve. And when I'm coaching parents, I always ask them, is that for your child or is that for you? Right? Do you want to be able to put the trophy on your social media account? Or is what actually matters that your, child is intellectually curious, right? Those are 2 really different values, achievement versus intellectual curiosity. And it's important to have those distinctions. And then the next question. Yeah,
can I just ask a question?
Yeah.
So, in other words, the mini trophies that they get that you brought, if your child likes art but doesn't like football, allow him to be who he is and not take it personally.
One of the one of the things that we have to kind of get right with as adults raising children is that their lives are theirs. the old traditional parenting model says kids need to make us look good, right? Kids are, kids have some,
Right.
we put a roof over their head. They owe us something. They don't, they didn't choose to be born.
Right.
So and when we do that, right, when we say like, all right, we've got a kid who loves art, or we've got a kid who loves music, and I was the captain of the football team and it gave me a lot of joy, but that's mine.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need them to follow in my footsteps to feel fulfilled as a parent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Question number 3.
Question number 3. What do they need to experience to learn these things? So another kind of cultural trend that I see that just, is there's so much proverbial bubble wrap around children today, right? They can't get hurt. They can't get upset. We fix all their problems for me. My son's going to college in the fall. And I just, in the Facebook group of the parents, like, let your 18-year-old child figure out what he needs in his dorm, please. Right. So if we're not giving children the opportunity to fail, to make their own appointments, to have access to money, to navigate peer relationships without like getting in it and calling the mom, we're not actually teaching them how to handle these essential aspects of their life. And then they go to college and they're like, don't know how to, do the laundry. Mm-hmm. So what are the experiences that they need? Well, sometimes that means they're going to be upset or angry or have to figure things out. Disappointed. They're going to be disappointed, and let them be. It's going to hurt, right? As a parent, we can sit with our children in their pain as a safe space, an advocate, but we gotta, especially as they start getting older, allow them to find their way out of it. Yeah.
That takes a lot on a parent to step back and watch them fall.
You tell me, like I sit on my hands, I'm like, stop, don't talk. Do not talk. But this is how they learn. All of us in our life are going to have failures, losses, heartbreaks, disappointments, to use your word. And I think a lot of kids get out into the world and they're like shocked that these things are happening, right? Like, wait a second, where's my mommy? And I get it. Like, and then, they've got everyone saying kids these days, like, well, as parents, we have to look at our role in that.
Yes. Well, you're working on your first book.
I have a book, which is fantastic, that really walks through this entire process. It's called The Peaceful Parenting Revolution.
I knew that. I ordered it.
And that is a great book if you are noticing these patterns in yourself that maybe impacted you as a child, that you see coming out, even though you don't want them to, with your own children, whether it's yelling or, using coercion, manipulation. This book really walks you through step by step the framework to shift into a new way of parenting that is still parenting. It's not about being permissive. It's not about not having rules or boundaries or limits, but that doesn't need to rely on those harmful relational tools.
Yeah. But in parenting, you don't wait until the tornado happens because you're building the foundation all the way.
Yes.
Correct?
We talk about doing your parenting off the mat. And what that means is, so we'll talk a little bit about nervous science here, nervous system science. Okay, so when we are in an escalated state, meaning we feel stressed, we feel anxious, we feel heat in our face, tightness in our chest, our brains quite literally move all of their energy into the survival centers of the brain, where we become reactive, right? Fight, flight, freeze, all those things. As adults, we have the ability to self-regulate, meaning we can take our internal temperature down. Children do not have the ability to self-regulate until they're into their early to mid-20s. That's when the outermost part of the brain, which controls executive function, logic, reason, is fully developed. So when you have an adult in an escalated nervous system state and a child in an escalated nervous system state, communication cannot happen. There's literally no entry point into that. So it's like when you see someone trying to convince a tantruming toddler to stop tantruming, it's like that little baby cannot hear you, literally.
Oh,
yeah, they can't. They have absolutely, first of all, that is completely underdeveloped. And second of all, they're like, their whole nervous system is in like chaos. So by parenting off the mat, we teach those lessons when everyone's in what in polyvagal theory we call the green zone. We're in connection. We have a feeling of love. There's happiness happening, fun. And that's when we can teach, right? Like, hey, then remember when you had that big meltdown in the store yesterday? What are some ideas that you have about how we might do better next time? Right? Like, oh, mommy, when I feel myself starting that, I'm going to pull on your arm, right? Like there are things that kids will come up with that are brilliant, honestly. And this way we have that pattern recognition when things start to move from green to yellow, and maybe they're starting to move towards red. We can be like, aha, I recognize this. What are our agreements? And pull a child back.
How early can you start that conversation with them and they respond?
I mean, really, people forget children are not adult brains in little bitty bodies. Children have children's brains in children's bodies. So really, before the age of 3, our best parenting strategies are redirection, making sure that rest and food are prioritized. You've literally got like a puppy.
Right.
As children start to move into those preschool years, they start to develop a lot more ability to communicate their needs, to communicate their feelings. So that's when we can start to teach. 2-year-olds are not going to remember what you told them yesterday. They're little babies.
Right.
So I think that's why, we really arm our coaches with a good understanding of childhood development, because when parents have realistic expectations, right? What is this child developmentally capable of? We're not going to get mad at the baby for having a temper tantrum. We're going to do our best to minimize them, to be with them, to create safety, but that child isn't being bad. They're being a child.
Right. I have another one, but I'm not going to ask it. It's for a 1-year-old, as soon as. So, this word, I have chosen the word this year of joy. And I feel that, I believe that we're losing those moments. They come right by us. We don't even recognize what they are. And so I'm so anxious to, at least my audience, to give them some notice about the importance of realizing what joy is, when it happens, where it happens in your body, so you can begin connecting. So I asked this question of all my guests. Could you share with me one moment of joy that, when I say, do you know a moment of joy, your mind goes right to it? It's so quick, because sometimes it is that powerful. So would you share a moment that you're thinking of? She has a great big smile on. She's just great.
I mean, joy is probably my number one value, and it's something that I really work to intentionally create on a daily basis in my life. Good. So my awareness is that I experience joy a lot, but I experienced profound joy recently. It's going to make me cry. I'm a single mom, I've raised 2 kids pretty much on my own while growing, a big business.
Uh-huh.
And that is amazing and incredible and challenging and all the things. And as I said, my son is going off to college, and his sister is a year younger than them.
Mm.
And at his graduation, the two of them were holding hands. And she was crying because she was so sad that her brother is going off to college. And I just thought, like, wow, what a almost like what an amazing family we've created, and what a special thing to have 2 kids, a son and a daughter, who love each other that much. I mean, it just took me to my knees.
Well, I'm crying too. That's a beautiful thing. I have my tissue too. So, yes, it is a gift. And you have created that by helping your children connect to each other, to treasure those moments of family.
Yeah.
So that's a tribute to you for sure.
Thank
But
you.
everybody reaps the treasure in the family. So anyway, it has, and what's the best thing about your business? You have built a business that was desperately needed when you created it.
Yeah.
But there is even more stress today on everybody. And so we see that stress is always with us. And I don't see that it's going to decrease.
Yeah.
So what is the best thing that you got in creating this business that has, oh gosh, I'm not saying this right, that has given so much to the world?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a couple of things. I think while our customers are parents and educators and therapists and pediatricians who are as passionate about this as I am, at the end of the day, the beneficiaries of this work are children. So knowing that there are all these children in the world whose lives are even just a little bit better because of what we teach and what we do is pretty humbling. And then I think, for me, my longing to have a way to support my family that allowed me to be with them and raise them and, not have daycares and nannies and all of that, that gift has been disseminated to, all of the parent coaches that we train, that they get to do work on their terms that they love. We have teachers en masse coming to be parent coaches because they're so unhappy. And so that this business has created a way for people who are passionate about kids to do work that really impacts kids and make a great living. Like, what?
Yes. Yes. So tell me how my audience can get to your book and to your website. I know they're anxious to read more about you.
Well, I would say all of it is available on our website. So it's JAI Institute for Parenting.com. The book is linked there on the homepage. There's a ton of resources for parents, from yelling to, if you have people in your life who still think that spanking is an effective discipline tool, resources for that. Of course, resources on becoming a parenting coach, a directory of our parenting coaches. It is chock full.
And how long if somebody was really interested in becoming a coach, how long is the transition?
Our certification program is 7 months long. The first 3 months you go through our curriculum as a parent so that you can really feel that transformation within yourself or within the other people in your group. Then you learn the skills of coaching, and then we actually do some business training at the end to make sure that our coaches know how to go out into the world and market themselves and sell. So 7 months, people start working with clients around, I'd say 4 months into it.
Really? That's
Yeah, we
oh,
want you coaching while you're here, because coaching's like riding a bike. You can't learn to do it by reading about it. You have to get on the bike and ride.
right. So, but is it over the internet or do you physically? Yeah.
No,
Okay.
everything's online.
Everything's.
Yeah.
I know everything is. I know. But anyway, I just wish you continued success. This is a much needed business, as you know, and I feel it's changing us. So I am so proud of you.
Thank you, Joyce.
Yeah.
I'm proud of me
So-
too.
See, right there is a good trait that everybody should know. You can be proud of yourself. So I thank you so much for being on Second Wind today. It's been a pleasure to have you here. And I just continue to wish you the best.
Thank you. It's been great being with you, Joyce.
Thank you for being here. Bye.
Joyce Buford returns next week at the same time for another edition of Second Wind. Through the Joyce Buford Empowerment System, women are receiving the support they need through their transitions and are able to reclaim their true purpose with confidence. They receive the tools they need to map out new lives. You can find out more about her coaching services at joycebufordempowers.com.